Okay, good morning to all of you. Hope you had a good week. So today we pick from where we were discussing the last time we met, and we were discussing on how we do audit the non-current assets. Okay, how we do audit non-current assets. Okay, both tangible as well as the intangible assets. Okay. Just to confirm as to whether you can hear me. David, you can hear me well?
Yes, I can hear
You can hear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we were discussing on how we do audit the non-current assets, okay, both tangible as well as the intangibles, okay? And as we mentioned, don't forget, essentially when it comes to discussion on what substantive procedures, okay, you should apply when it comes to any of the assets, any of the liability account that you're going to be auditing, okay, any of the income accounts, okay, any of the expense account, okay. Generally, don't forget, you begin by trying to get to know what are the assertions, okay, that I will be testing, okay, because generally it's always good enough to start with the point of assertion, okay. What assertion do I want to test here? Do I want to test on valuation, okay? Do I want to test on rights and obligations, okay? Do I want to test on maybe whether the expenses occurred or maybe the income has occurred, okay? So what are you trying to test? Okay, so you begin from that from that angle. Okay, trying to understand. Okay, trying to know what financial statement assertion you're trying to test on. Okay, that's the beginning. Okay, know the assertion, and then from there you can now be able to discuss the financial. You can now be able to discuss on the substantive procedures that you should use when it comes to audit of that particular assertion. Okay. I generally search the 9 assertion, okay, which I think we did summarize them into the mnemonic for SCA, okay. We did summarize, there were 7 of them, okay. So the financial statement assertion, okay, there were 9 of them, which we did summarize, okay, using the mnemonic of SCA cover, okay. I still hope that you all remember what that implied. When it comes to the substantive procedure, okay, generally we have 7 of them, okay. All the way from the calculation, the performance, okay, the use of observation, inquiry, okay, the use of substantive analytical procedures, inspection, external confirmation. So all these procedures, okay, you can use them when it comes to the audit of any of the accounts that you'll be testing. Any account that you're going to be carrying out the substantive test of detail. Okay, so generally, okay, you have to be careful. Okay, so don't try to force these procedures, okay, to an account. Okay, don't try to force them. Okay, more or less have a simple discussion. It's not a must to mention the procedure that you're discussing. Okay, you don't have to mention that I'm inspecting. No. Okay. But generally, how can you apply inspection on that particular scenario that you are trying to discuss on? Okay. Okay, and last time, as mentioned, we were discussing on the non-current assets. Okay, we went ahead and discussed on the procedures you can use when it comes to test on the completeness. Okay, simply want to assess whether all the assets of the company, if they were disposal, okay, they have been accounted for. Okay, if there were additions that did occur during the year, they have been accounted for. Okay, that was on completeness. Okay, towards existence, okay, we discuss and say that the key objective here you're trying to test, okay, is to know as to whether is it true that this asset or company actually do exist? Okay, since these are tangible assets, okay, can you ask the management, take me to this particular asset you're saying that you have? It's a motor vehicle. Where is it? Okay, or existing? Trying to assess whether do the asset actually exist? Okay, and of course the best which can use be able to see them. Okay, but these are tangible assets. Okay. Then we discussed also on valuation. Okay, most was those assets that, for example, they may require frequent, like for example, revaluation. Okay, so if there are assets that do require frequent revaluation, okay, then you may want to, as a manager, for example, to provide you with evidence, okay, that the devaluation has occurred. Okay, if there are going to be revaluation gains or losses that have occurred, then of course they are being posted in their correct accounts. Okay. Today, I want us to discuss on the rights and obligation. Okay, to discuss on rights and obligations. Okay. Now, what does the rights and obligation imply? Okay, since you're dealing with in this case, okay, you're dealing with an asset. Okay, you're dealing with an asset that the company is owning. Okay, so you want to assess. Okay, is it true? Okay, the company has reported this particular asset in their books. Okay, they say they have this motor vehicle, they have this parcel of land somewhere. So generally, okay, you want to assess. Okay, is it does the company have the right receipt of does the company has the right to the receipt of any of the potential cash flow that are going to be, but that particular asset is going to be yielding. Okay, so generally you may want to. That's the question. That's the question you want to ask yourself here. Okay, does the company have the right to the receipt of the income that accrues from that particular asset? Okay, that's the question. Okay, is about the ownership. The company has the right to receipt of any potential income that comes from that particular assets. Okay, that's on the rights and obligation. Okay, and that's what you want to test here. One of the procedure, okay, that you can use, for example, in this context, okay, is verify if they are parts of land, okay, if they are parts of land, okay. You may want to ask, give us the ownership documentation, okay. You own this parts of land, therefore, what do you ask? I will be asking, therefore, for example, for title deed, okay. You say you do own this particular asset, provide for us the title deed, okay. If it is maybe a motor vehicle, okay, for example, okay, ask, okay, we would want to know the documents that you did use when you are registering this particular motor vehicle, okay, provide for us, therefore, the logbook, okay. So you're going to be asking for the legal ownership documentation that the company ought to be having if they truly do own that particular asset. Okay, if they truly do own that particular asset. Okay, so therefore, the first point simply is trying to verify, okay, towards verify the title plan, building, and by inspecting title deeds. Okay, large registry certificates. On the case is about lease agreements. Okay, you can have instance where actually this particular parcel of land is not wholly owned by the company. Okay, so it's on lease agreement. Okay, so in that context, okay, therefore you would expect, okay, that the company ought to be having the lease agreements themselves, okay, the contracts the company used to enter into those lease agreements, okay. So in that context, as for the company, okay, it's true that you are not you don't have, okay, you don't have the exact replica, okay, of the title deed, okay. However, okay, where is the disagreement you had with either the government, for example, okay, or either the previous or with the rightful owner of this particular parcel of land, for example, okay. So as for the company, okay, mandate to provide you with these agreements, okay. At the same time, don't forget you may want to know whether this was an operating lease or whether this is an operating lease or this is a finance lease, okay? Because when it comes to accounting, you're going to be accounting them differently, okay? So get to understand what are the terms and conditions of that lease agreement, okay? So that when it comes to classification, you're going to classify them in their proper accounts, okay? Obtain certificate from solicitor or the banker stating purpose for which the deeds are being held for, okay? In some cases, you may have an instance where the company, their logbooks, okay, or maybe their title deeds, okay, they are being held by a third party. Okay, maybe the company has taken a loan, okay, use the bank. The bank did ask, okay, give us your title deed. You're only going to give you this particular loan. You're going to only finance you if you're going to give us the security, okay, and more security that the bank asks, okay, by your title deed, okay. In that case, therefore, as an auditor, okay, how do you prove that the company actually they do have or they do own this particular asset, whereas they don't have the ownership documentation? Okay, now what do you do? Okay, you're simply going to be asking them, okay, I would want to speak to your bank, okay. We are going to discuss it alone, okay, when it comes to audit of cash and bank, okay. That generally, you as an auditor, you may want to get the information straight from the bank that is holding that particular asset on behalf of your client, okay. So you may want to ask from the bank, okay? So you're going to be drafting a letter, okay? Of course, you're going to be drafting through your client, okay? Address to the bankers, okay? Address to the bank, okay? And the bank is going to give you a response, okay? That it is true that we are holding this particular asset as a security, okay? Against your, okay, for your clients, okay? For the loan that we gave them 2 years ago, 3 years ago, okay? So you're going to be asking the bank to confirm that on your behalf, okay? Even though the client does not have the ownership documentation, but the bank is holding those rightful, okay, ownership documentation on behalf of your client, okay? So you're going to be asking the bank, okay? And as mentioned, don't forget you're going to be drafting this letter, okay? Not yourself, okay? Of course, you're the one who wants the response, but you're going to be asking the client to ask their bank to make a response to you on the matters regarding the asset that they're holding on behalf of your client, okay? Towards motor vehicle, I think I already mentioned, okay, instruct registration documentation, okay? So here in the context of Kenya, for example, you're going to be asking for the logbook, okay? You're going to be asking the client to provide you with the logbooks, okay? Then the other thing is to confirm that all vehicles are used for the client business, okay? Don't forget here is about it is true that you own this particular motor vehicle, but could it be that this particular motor vehicle, you have the ownership documentation, however, it is being used by a third party? Is it helping you? Maybe you don't have the power to the receipt of the economic benefits that flows from that particular asset. Don't forget, when it comes to accounting for assets, okay, don't forget, okay, I think you did this in section 1, okay, you're going to be recognizing the asset if the company has the right to the receipt of the economic benefits that flow from that particular account, okay. So this is what you want to confirm here. You own this particular asset. However, do you receive, are you the one who uses it, or is it being used by someone else, okay? Because if the economic benefits flows to someone else, okay, then you should not be accounting for that particular asset, okay. That's what I mean by that particular point, okay. Yes, the company has the title deed. The company has, okay, the ownership documentation, okay. However, you may want to verify that those assets are being used on behalf for the company, okay. They're being used rightfully for the company, and the company has the right to the receipt of any potential cash flow from it, okay. Just to make a point before we go to the next slide, okay. You can have instance, just make a point here in this point number 2. You can have cases where the company has assets, however, they have used those assets, okay? The company has assets, however, they use those assets into, those assets are being held by the bank, not that they're being used as a security, okay? Those assets are being held by a bank, okay? Not that those assets are being used as security, but the bank is asking, is using, or the company is using the bank as a custodian, okay? So simply is a safe security, okay? The bank is just acting as a custodian, okay? You can use, for example, you can have case where the company is going to use title deeds. The company is going to use, is going to ask a bank to act as custodian, okay, for the different, okay, documentation or different registration documents for their different assets, okay, or even active assets, okay, in case they can be stored, okay. So in that case, therefore, the assets are not being as security, okay, but the assets are being held on behalf of your client in custody, okay. So the bank is simply a custodian, okay, not the company, not that the company, okay, has obtained loans. No, the company is simply using the bank as a custodian, okay. So simple as going forward, okay, as I mentioned, you're going to draft a letter, you address to the bank, okay, and ask the bank to make a response, recognizing, okay, or acknowledging, okay, what assets they're holding on behalf of your client. In some instances, okay, you may have a case where the company, okay, maybe there could be, I don't know, whatever, for whatever reason, okay, maybe the company cannot be able to provide you with the actual ownership documentation, then you may want to go for a lower quality audit evidence, okay. In this case, therefore, if the company does not have the logbook, maybe because it's being processed, okay, or the company in whatever way, or maybe the bank is there to make a response, okay, to your inquiry, okay. regarding the titles as well as the case of logbooks, okay, which they are holding, okay. So as an auditor, okay, if you can't, for example, be able to obtain, okay, those logbooks, you can't be able to obtain the title deeds, you can't be able to obtain the difference of the architect certificate, okay, it's a building, okay. Now what do? Okay, you can use other, okay, or audit evidence sources. One of them you can use, for example, okay, is the purchase invoices, okay, the purchase invoices, okay. So in this context, you're still going to be asking, okay, for now, I can't be able to obtain the legal documents, okay. However, you did buy this asset, okay. They have provided me, for example, the sale agreement that you had between yourself and the supplier or the seller of this particular equipment, okay. It's a motor vehicle, okay. You bought it from, I don't know, let's say Toyota Kenya, okay. Simply ask the Toyota Kenya, you might have a sale agreement, okay. There were some purchase invoices, okay, that were sent to you, okay. Now give me those other documents, okay. As I mentioned, don't forget they are of lower quality. However, okay, you're asking the client, okay, let me try to obtain an alternative, okay, audit evidence, okay. It's of lower quality, but still you may want to use this in some instances, okay, where, for example, the bank does not make a response to you, okay, and you can't force the bank generally to make a response. So in that case, therefore, you may have to use other evidence. For example, asking the client to provide you with the purchase invoices, okay. If it's a building, okay, you may want to ask them, provide me with the architect certificate, okay, definitely because there was an architect who was drafting, okay, was one who was having all those drawings, okay, and design the building, okay, so of course at the end of the day, they're not going to pass on those certificates after the completion of the building. So as a client, provide me with the architect certificate that you give it, okay. If they have lease agreements, generally you're going to ask them to provide you with those lease agreements which you already have, okay. For the case the asset was bought through hire purchase, okay, and the company is yet to fully complete the payment of the hire purchase, the rentals, okay, okay. Therefore, what do? As client, provide me with also your hire purchase agreement you had between you and the seller of the asset, okay. The point number, the next point, a review for evidence of charges in secretary books and by company search, okay. So here is more towards what I mentioned about where the assets are being used as security. Okay, so here where the assets are being used as a security. Okay. So guess charges, we have two of them. We have the fixed and the floating. I hope you still remember. Okay. So simply, this is where the company assets are being used as security. Okay, which I think I already discussed in previous points. Okay. So simply going to be reviewing where the company actually some of the assets, okay, are being used, they're being used as security against maybe a loan, okay, which the company has obtained from a bank or from a third party, okay. Review the list terms, okay, of leasehold properties to ensure that the company has fulfilled covenants therein, okay, the agreements therein, okay. So simply review the lease agreements of the lease property, okay, to understand as well that if there's some condition, okay, that must have been met, okay, as per the lease agreement, okay, has a company fulfilled those terms, okay, has a company fulfilled those terms, okay. For example, on the rent payment, okay, if the rent is meant to be, if one of the conditions was the company is meant to pay the rent maybe every 3 months, okay, and now the rent for the previous quarter is overdue, and one of the conditions is that if the rent is overdue for more than let's say 2 months, okay, then the company or the lease agreement ceases to be fair. So you may want to review, okay, what are the lease terms, okay, between now the company, the lessee, and you have the lessor, okay, has a company negated either of those conditions, and what's the implication of those conditions, okay, because in case the company has negated one of those agreements, okay, and if the result of, or if the result of that negation, okay, was the company is meant to return the asset back to the lessor, and the company has negated that, then of course that means therefore the company ought not recognize that particular asset in their books, okay. Or simply go through the terms and conditions, okay. The company is meant to fulfill in any of its leased property, okay. The other thing is, the last point here, okay, is more towards the what we call capital commitments, okay, or referred to as capital commitments. You can have instance, okay, where the company, okay, you may want to determine, should we, for example, okay, we as a company, have we been able to, as a company, have you been able to fulfill, okay, all the capital the necessary towards, for example, okay, the purchased property, okay? If, for example, okay, let me just go to back to the least asset, okay, back to the least asset. Okay. You may want to understand if the agreement was that we are going to pass on, okay, or you're going to have this particular asset, or we're going to give you actually, it's a higher purchase, okay, you're going to give you, or you're going to have the ownership documentation upon maybe once you pay us at least the quarter, okay, of the money, okay, then we're going to give you, you as our buyer, that is the company auditing, okay, we're going to pass on or give you the ownership documentation, okay. However, has the company management made the commitment, okay, that will ensure that actually that is going to happen? Okay. Now, how do you know the company has made that commitment? You're simply going to go to the minute of the board, okay, the board meetings, okay, because don't forget this is capital asset, okay, so you're going to be referring, okay, the board meetings. Has the board, for example, provided, okay, the management to go ahead and make that commitment? Is there any commitment from the side of those charge governance, okay, to see through the contract, for example, okay? That's what we make that point, okay? Trying to understand, okay, there are minutes for evidence of capital commitments, okay, capital commitments, okay? And this is going to apply more or less, okay? In case, for example, the company, we are going to discuss on the intangibles, okay? And more towards, for example, towards the research, okay? R&D, so discuss it alone, okay? On the research, where capital commitments actually makes more sense, okay? Than even in the case of the tangible assets, okay? And that's on the rights and obligations, okay? So simply trying to assess in quote, trying to prove, okay, that actually the company should, or we should, okay, recognize the assets in the company's book, okay? That's on the rights and obligation, okay? Hope it's all clear. If not, don't forget, you let me know, okay? The account that is attached to the company tangible assets, okay, of course, is what called depreciation, okay, the loss of value of an asset over time, okay, depreciation, okay. So this goes therefore to the expense account, okay. This is an expense account more or less, okay, the loss of value of an asset over time, okay. Now, towards the depreciation, okay, one of the way you may want to assess is whether, if, for example, we are dealing with tangible assets, okay, we are dealing with tangible assets, okay, especially those tangible assets that has an end life, okay, motor vehicle, buildings, okay, uh, any of the tangible assets, okay, that do have an end life, okay, they have an end to their economic life, okay, then all those assets, okay, the company need to be charging a depreciation, okay, or amortization, whatever case it is, okay. The company need to, okay, there should be depreciation charge for all those assets that do have an end life, okay, that's a must, okay. The company, you need to see, okay, all the company assets, okay, that do have an end life, okay, so they're going to be used for 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. Either way, okay, the company need to be charging a depreciation, maybe unless maybe the depreciation charge they have been fully depreciated, but otherwise they need to be a depreciation charge for the year for that particular asset, okay. At the same time, you may want to, okay, you're going to discuss on what called calculation, okay, on recalculation, okay. You may want to assess, for example, okay, what has been reported, okay, as per this year, okay, what has been the total depreciation charge? Okay, if, for example, the company is using the straight line method of depreciation, okay, the company bought this asset in the year 2010, okay, the asset useful life was 10 years, was 20 years, okay, and now we are in the year 2010, 2020, okay, it implies therefore, okay, since the company is applying the straight line method of depreciation, then last year depreciation charge for this particular asset ought to be equal to this year depreciation charge, okay, because it's simply every year the expense is equal. So we can simply, for example, carry out a substantive analytical procedure. Okay, we compare what was last year charge of this depreciation charge for this particular asset. What is this year? Is there any difference? If there's going to be a difference on the charge for last year and this year, then of course that's going to raise our eyebrows, because why do you charge different? Okay, last year and this year we ought to have the same expense. Okay, we ought to have the same depreciation charge. Okay, or simply you're using the straight line method depreciation. Okay. If you're using, for example, okay, the reducing balance basis, okay, we're using the reducing balance basis, okay, what should happen to the deposit charge last year and this year? If you're using the reducing balance basis, okay, as the method of depreciation, if you're to carry out a comparison last year, this year, what should you observe? Let me ask someone. Ashley. Ashley. Hey, Ashley, you went mute. David.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so for last year's should be greater than for this year.
Yes, similar that, okay, that you expect, okay, that last year expense therefore should be higher than this year expense, okay? Why? Because you're using the reducing balance basis, okay? Therefore, you as an auditor, simply, you can make that observation, okay? Assume that there is no addition or disposal that did occur during the year, that you expect to see the expense for last year ought to be higher than for this year. So in case the reverse occurring, okay, that the expense for this year is higher than last year, then of course that is going to be a question mark. Why is it that the expense is higher than last year expense? And you're using the reducing balance basis. And there's no addition that occurs in the year and you don't have any disposal. Okay. That's when the use of substantive analytical procedures. Okay. If, for example, okay, there have been disposal that did occur in the year, okay, if there has been disposal that occurred in the year, okay, you may want to assess whether, okay, those disposals, okay, were there any potential gain that the company did obtain, okay, were there any potential gains, the gains or the disposal the company did make, okay, were there any losses, okay, disposal losses, okay, so simply comparing what was the NBV, okay, at the time of disposal, okay, at the time of the disposal, okay, what was the net book value then, okay, and what was the selling price, okay, or what did the company fetch from the disposal of that asset, okay. So simply you can try to recalculate, okay. Last year, this asset was disposed for, let's say, 10,000, okay. By the time of the disposal, its value was 8,000. We imply therefore we need to have a gain on disposal, okay, on the company P&L, okay, by the end of the year equal to the 2,000, okay, because the disposal value was greater, okay, than the net book value at the time of the disposal, okay. I think I mentioned this. Review the company non-current asset to ensure the charge has been done on all those assets that has a limited useful life. Okay, so you need to see that in the company P&L. Okay, all the different assets, okay, have been that have an end life. Okay, that have limited useful life. Okay, all those assets have been depreciated. Okay, so you have to have an expense that appears on the company P&L. Okay. If the company, or in case there was any revaluation, okay, that occurred during the year, okay, if there's some assets that are being revalued, okay, and these assets have an end life, okay, the assets that are being revalued, they do have an end life. Don't forget, we need now to also charge depreciation, not on the book value by the time of the revaluation, but now on the revalued amount, okay, or now the revalued amount, okay. The charge for depreciation ought to be on the revalued amount. Okay, so in case there was any charge of, in case there's any revaluation, so you may want to be careful to check that the company has depreciated that asset not on the book values, okay, but on the revalued, okay, amounts. Okay, so that's why you're quite careful, by the way. Okay, when it comes to revaluation, because the client, okay, may continue the client may continue depreciating, okay, using the previous, okay, using the value before the revaluation. So you may want to ask the company during the year, is there any asset that you have revalued? Okay, is there any asset that have you revalued? Okay. If you have, then of course go and ensure, try to check, okay, on the company asset movement schedule, okay, that the depreciation charge has changed based on the revalued amounts. Okay. If there was gain on the revaluation, okay, if you gain on revaluation, then forget also you have to be careful that it is going to be noted, okay, in the correct area, okay, in the correct area, okay. Is it going to go to the changes in equity, okay? Is it going to go as part of the company comprehensive income, okay, or is it part of the company income in the P&L? So you have to check on what assets that the company is depreciating. Hope it's all clear, okay. Okay, I think I mentioned this, okay. We perform the calculation, okay, of the position to ensure it's correct and appear reasonable, okay. So simply you can carry out the calculation, okay. In case is straightened method, no need of calculation. So simply just take the figure, okay. What was last year figure? It was this much. What was this year figure? It was this much. The two value tally. If they don't, as the management, why don't they tally? Okay. Were there any addition? Okay, that occurred in the year. Were there any disposal that occurred in the year? Okay. So you perform calculation test. If it's about reducing balance basis, the same thing you can do. Okay, you can simply carry out a calculation. Okay, you can simply carry out a calculation. Okay, simply compare what was the closing balance as per last year, 2019. Okay, then this year, okay, it ought to be equal to let's say like 20% of the closing value, okay, of last year. So you can carry out the calculation, okay, yourself. Okay. Another way you can carry out a substantive analytical procedure. Okay, this one. Okay, this is the use of comparison. Anywhere you're comparing, this is called a substantive analytical procedure. Okay, you can compare ratios of the charge of the position to the non-current asset by category with the previous year. Okay, compare what the ratio of the charge of the position to that particular asset value. Okay, or the NBV. Okay, we can do that comparison. Okay. Let me just have my board here, okay, and let you know. So here, for example, okay, if, for example, we are using the straightened method of position, okay, that one is quite straightforward. Anyway, if the company is using the straight line method, then the charge of the position, okay, so the depreciation for the year, okay, versus the NBV, okay, just versus the cost. Just in this case, let me just do the cost. Of course, we expect this to be equal. This is going to be equal to, okay, as per also last year. Okay, this ratio is also going to be equal to. Okay, if the company is using the reducing balance basis, okay, if the company is using the reducing balance basis, if we compare the charge of the position for this year, okay, versus NBV. Let's have a simple example. Okay, year one, we have year two. The cost of the assets, okay, was, for example, 10,000. Okay, and the rate we are using is, for example, 20%. The charge for year one, of course, will be 20%. We multiply by 10,000. Okay, which is going to give us therefore 2,000. Okay, as a closing year, this is going to be the NBV is 8,000. Okay. Okay, let me just write this. The NBV is going to be equal to 8,000. Okay, in year two, the depreciation is going to be 20%. We multiply by NBV 8,000 to give us 1,600. And the NBV as the close of the year is going to be equal to 6,400. Now the ratio we are trying to talk about here is we are trying to compare the charge of the depreciation for the year. For example, in year one, okay. For example, in year one, it is 2,000. We can compare that with the NBV. Okay, let me just make a comparison. Okay, for year one, just here. Okay, 2,000 all over 8,000 in terms of percent. Okay, because it's going to give you 20%. Okay. If you're going to do for year two, okay, it will be equal to 600. Versus the NBV for that year, 6,400, which of course is going to give you 20%. So if this ratio, okay, we are trying to say if this ratio is not going to be equal, okay, well, this is going to be simple because you're only dealing with one asset, okay, that's why you're covering 20%. In case you have multiple class of assets, okay, of course it can be 20% goes to 19, 20 goes to 21, but essentially, okay, there should be no material difference. Okay, there should be no material difference between the charge for the year versus the NBV. Okay, there ought to be no material difference from one year to the next year. Okay, if we have material differences between the charge of depreciation, okay, then you may want to ask yourself, why do we have this? Okay, were there any additional were there any additions that occurred in the year? Were there any disposal that occurred in the year? Because this ought to be very considered across time. Okay. Okay, so going back to our notes. In the draft accounts, ensure that relationship policy and the rates are disclosed adequately. So more is this about the notes, the financial statement, okay? The notes, the financial statement, okay? This more towards the notes to the financial statement, okay? That you may want to ensure that the company has actually done that on the notes, okay? They have classified all the different assets, okay? We have motor vehicle, okay? This motor vehicle, we do apply straight time method, we do apply reducing balance basis, okay? And so they ought to be a good disclosure, okay, on the policy company using and the rate they do use on each of the assets, okay. For example, fully depreciated assets, inspect the non-current register to ensure no further depreciation is charged on them, okay. So the company has any, okay, asset that is fully depreciated, okay, which I think I didn't mention last time, okay. You can have a case where the company do have assets fully depreciated. However, the company is deriving economic benefits from them. In that case, therefore, okay, we ought not to have any charge for the depreciation. Okay. However, that asset need to be acknowledged for and need to appear. It has a zero value, but it ought to be appearing on the company non-current asset register. Okay. However, no further depreciation ought to be charged on that particular asset. So take note of that. Has the company disclosed that asset in their books? Okay, have they done that disclosure? Okay, and at the same time, have they charged a depreciation? Because if they have done, then they have done it the wrong way. Okay, so you need to go through the company assets. Okay, company non-current asset register to make this confirmation. Okay, hope that is clear. Okay, maybe just check on this particular point, okay, on accounts of the company and where the company has gone ahead and disclosed the policy they do use as well as the rates they do apply on the assets, okay, just to check on, for example, the accounts of, okay, Safaricom, okay, to see whether that has happened, okay. So let me check accounts for Safaricom. Kami, you can see my screen. Kami. Hey, people went away. Emma. Emma. Hey, what happened? Yes, Emma. You can see my screen. Kami.
Yep.
You can see my screen well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I wanted us to check on okay, so this was an account, okay, or simply these are the accounts for Safaricom, okay, with regard to their PPE, okay, with regard to their property, plant, and equipment, okay. So as I mentioned, okay, as an auditor, you want to confirm as to the company has actually done all the disclosure with regard to their particular asset class, okay. This particular case, we're dealing with the case of, okay, a PPE of the company, okay. So simply that's what I wanted to mean, okay, that for each of the category, okay, the company has actually done the relevant disclosure, okay. They are, for example, stated if there were any disposal occurred in the year, if there were any addition occurred in the year, how much of the depreciation they have charged in that particular year, okay. So you can see, for example, in this case, we do have, for example, okay, so here you can see where my cursor is, for example, this for the case of network infrastructure, the charge for the year, and all the different PPE category, okay, all the way until the last one, okay, that one, and the total here you have that 1.9 billion, okay. So essentially, therefore, this disclosure need to be very explicit, okay, that every single person who can be able to go through this particular accounts, okay, can understand, okay, what happened during the year, okay, what happened during the year, okay. That simply is on what you ought to have, or you as an auditor, okay, you need to see on the side of the client, okay, that they have made the relevant disclosure, okay, and I say this is going to be appear on the notes of financial statement, okay, or the notes of financial statement of the company, okay. I hope that is quite clear, okay, okay. So all this applies towards the depreciation charge for that particular year, okay. That's the point I wanted to pass across. Okay, David, we can take a break. Let me unmute you, David. David?
Yes, we can take a break.
Until what time?
9:25.
Okay, fair enough. Then we can meet at 9:25. Okay, we continue with the audit. Okay. Okay, let's meet at 9:25. Okay, welcome back for our second session. Okay, we were discussing on the depreciation. Now we discuss on the additions that occurred during the year. Okay, so simply here, you're trying to process what or how or what procedures can you carry out if the company did acquire other assets during the year. Okay, there were additions that did occur. Okay, well, the procedure can carry out, okay, that you can try to verify if there were additions, if it was a building, okay, of course, we go back to the architect certificates, okay, as a company provide you with architect certificates, okay. You can also ask them provide, for example, with suppliers invoices, okay. If, for example, it's something is an ongoing project, okay, it is not yet complete, it's an ongoing asset, okay, of the construction, okay. You can also review, for example, okay, the company policies with regard to capitalization, okay. Don't forget the addition can also be in terms of the expenditures, okay, that have been capitalized, okay. You have to be quite careful when it comes to the asset capitalization, okay, because either way, okay, there could be maybe some expense that were meant, there could be some expenditure, okay, that were meant to be expensed, however, the company capitalized them, okay. So you have to be quite careful on that matter, okay. When it comes to the capitalization policy of the company, okay? Do you think the criteria, okay, the company is following when it comes to capitalization of the expenditure is the right criteria, okay? As a manager, provide you with what criteria to use, okay, when it comes to expenditure capitalization. If, for example, an expenditure was meant to be expensed, okay, if, for example, the expenditure was meant to be expensed, however, it was capitalized, you can imagine the amount of misstatement, okay, that will appear on both the balance sheet as well as on the P&L, okay, because if the expenditure was meant to be expensed, then that implies that for the company profit ought to have reduced, okay, the company profit ought to have reduced, okay. If if it was capitalized, it was meant to be expense, then the company assets are way higher than what they should be. Okay, so you can see all this ripple impact, okay, of the company policy. So you may want to ask the management, okay, ask the management, what policy did you follow when it comes to the capitalization policy of your expenditures? Okay, so just to have a simple illustration, okay, on the wrong classification of the assets, okay. capitalization policy of the company. If, for example, you have here this scenario A, okay, scenario B, okay. In scenario A, the company, this is what the company ought to have done, okay. So assume that this is company income, there's 10,000, 10,000, okay, both of them in the two scenario, and then here is the company, let's say expenses, okay, this is the expenditure, okay, this is the expenditure that we're either going to capitalize or we're going to expense, okay, assume that is equal to, for example, 2,000, okay. So here the company expenditure, the company expense, okay, have assumed that is this expenditure has been expensed, okay, what it should be, it is meant to be expensed, okay, is equal to, let's say, for example, 6,000, okay. So here it includes this expenditure here, okay. Therefore, consider for company profit, okay, for the sake of simplicity, therefore is meant to be 4,000, okay. It is meant to be 4,000, okay. The company balance sheet on the side, okay, we have here the non-current assets of the company, okay. Don't forget here, it was expense in the P&L, okay, that's why I've put the asterisks here, okay. Now, without this expenditure, it has been expensed, not capitalized, okay, assume the company assets is equal to, let's say, 12,000, okay. In scenario B, the company has capitalized that expenditure, okay, of the 2,000, okay, which implies therefore the expense here is meant before that is 4,000, okay, because it's less than 2,000, okay. Therefore, consider therefore, okay, that the company profit will be equal to 6,000. So since this expenditure was capitalized, and therefore the company assets is not 12,000, but now it is 14,000 because it has been capitalized, okay. Now you can see if we don't recognize, okay, the expenditure in or if the classification, okay, or the company policy regarding capitalization was wrong, okay, the company B, the scenario B, you're going to have a profit being a part of 6,000, okay. In scenario A, you're going to have towards the balance sheet, okay, you're going to have a misstatement, okay, of 2,000. Therefore, the company non-current assets will be reporting, okay, an asset base of 14,000. You can see in the two scenarios, in scenario B, the company is going to have a higher profit. It will have a high asset base. It is same as if in scenario B, the company is doing quite well. But it's simply because they did use the wrong policy regarding their capitalization policy. Okay, you can see this. Don't forget this actually a 50% more profit. Okay, because 4,000 all the way to 6,000. These are 50% more profit. Okay, for towards the asset, they have been misrepresented, okay, by how much? Okay, by 2,000 out of 12,000. Okay, I guess I don't know, you get 8 point something. Okay, I've seen that you get, what do you get actually? The 6,000 came from the 2,000 misstatements out of the 4,000. Okay, in percent, this would give us 50%. So the company profit has been overstated, okay, by 50%. Now towards the asset, what's the misstatement towards the asset? Okay, so do it quickly. You guess you have calculators. You can put the answer on the chart. Okay, so David gets 16.67%. Okay, please suppose that should be the right answer. Okay, and you can see therefore the company assets are going to be misstated, okay, by 16.67%, and the profit by 50%. Okay, you can see the huge, the extent to which this 2,000, okay, wrongful capitalization, okay, has done towards the profit as well as towards the company non-current assets. Okay, that will be that point. Okay, so as an auditor, you have to be quite careful. Okay, and if you have gone through the case of Enron, okay, I hope you've gone the case of Enron. I think I may have made a reference to this case, okay, the Enron's case, okay. Then this is what happened. Okay, this was one of the major costs of the company. Financial accounts being huge, to have huge misstatement. Okay, is simply because on the company policy regarding on how they do capitalize the expenditure. Okay, I would propose that, by the way, okay, this is a good case. Okay, you may want to go through it. Okay, there's a documentary, okay, which can help you out in understanding how the failure of audits, okay, as well as failure towards the having management and poor management, okay, can lead to a failure of a huge company. Okay, so I would propose that you try to go through this. There's a documentary that can help you understand very well on matters of auditing. Okay. Anyway. Okay, that was more towards company policy regarding capitalization. Okay, so you have to be quite careful there. Okay, so as a company, if there were additions and these additions were out of capitalization, you have to be quite keen on whether those expenditure capitalized actually did qualify to be capitalized. Okay, and how do you know whether it's going to be should be capitalized or is meant to be expended? Okay, so simply if the expenditure that has been incurred, okay, on that particular non-current asset, okay, if the expenditure incurred on that non-current asset, okay, motor vehicle, okay, building, is simply meant to maintain, okay, the current status of that particular asset, okay, either in terms of what mileage, okay, that particular vehicle can take, okay, or what the asset life, okay, in case the building was meant to take 10 years, okay, its life was meant to be 10 years. And this expenditure incurring is simply meant to take it 10 years, okay, maybe like we are repainting, okay. That doesn't mean that the asset life is going to increase, okay. They have all those expenditures, okay, that do not increase the asset useful life. They don't increase or refer to as, they don't make the asset better, okay, better in the terms of increasing. What term can I use here, okay, to make it easy to understand? Now, all those expenditures that the company is going to incur, okay, just maintain the asset usable format, to maintain the company, the asset economic life, for example, okay, to maintain the asset earning power, okay, all those expenditures ought to be expensed in the P&L. Okay, all those expenses they need to be expensed in the P&L. Okay, the repairs of the car, if there's a building is about to be painting, okay, those expenditures, okay, ought to be expensed in the P&L. Okay. Now, in case the company doing an expenditure that is meant to increase the asset useful life, for example, okay, the asset life before this repair, for example, okay, or this overhaul was, let's say, 10 years, okay. After the company incur or the company do incur some expenditure, okay, the asset life increased from 10 years to 12 years, then that expenditure is meant to be capitalized, okay. It's not meant to be, it should not be expensive, okay. It's meant to be capitalized, okay. So those expenditures that increase the usefulness, okay, of the asset, okay, in terms of maybe its economic life, for example, okay, in terms of its earning power, okay. So all those expenditure, therefore, they need to be capitalized, okay. There's a simple criteria that you can use as auditor to assess whether the expenditure, whether the expenditure ought to be expensed or it need to be capitalized as a part of the company assets. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay. And also, you can also inspect the non-current asset accounts for sample purchases to ensure they have been properly allocated. Okay, so simply they do have or they have been posted in their correct accounts. Okay, they have then been classified in the correct accounts. Okay, you can simply take a sample of the purchases or the additions that were done during the year. Okay, hope it's clear. Okay, ensure that procedure can carry out is ensure that all procedures, okay, as I mentioned, be careful, okay, with this, the use of ensure. Okay, I think I didn't make this comment before, okay, that ensure is not a procedure. But if you want to use the word ensure, then you have to include the procedure let alone, okay. How do you ensure that? Okay, by inspecting. So you have to be quite careful with the word to ensure, okay. So ensure that proper claims have been made for grants and grants received, and receivables have been received by inspecting claims documentation and bank statement. Okay, so in case the company is receives some grants either from the government, either from whatever organization, okay, that is going to give these grants, okay, for construction or something, okay, whatever the company is given grant for, okay, you need to inspect the claims documentation as well as the bank statement to ensure, for example, the money, okay, has hit, okay, the bank account of the company. Okay. You can also verify additions that have been recorded by scrutinizing the non-current asset register and the GL. Okay, so any addition that occurs during the year, of course, it ought to appear on the company non-current asset register, and not just on the company non-current asset register, but on the GL, okay, on the general ledger, which of course will be appearing in the company final financial statements. Okay, that's sort of you verify that the company has actually recorded all those additions that occurred during the year. Okay, and that's on the additions. Okay, I hope it all is clear. if the company did has its own what we call the self-constructed assets, okay? Now these are assets, okay, of the company, not inventory, okay? These are non-current assets of the company. The company itself is one doing the construction. For example, the company may be doing, they don't buy an ready-made building, okay? So the company is one constructing that building, okay, for its own use, okay, not for sale, okay, but for its own use, okay? That's an example of a self-constructed asset. Okay, now how do you audit those assets? Okay, there's no purchase invoice, for example, okay, because the company didn't purchase this building, okay, but it is the building the company itself has one who have constructed from scratch. Now, how do you audit those assets? Okay, one of the ways you can verify material and labor costs and verify to the invoices and wages record that occurred that the company incurred, okay, during the construction of that asset. Okay, so simply here you're going to go to the cost accounting. You're going to go to the manual accounting. Okay, you may to go and verify. Okay, what was the total material cost that was incurred? Ask them, provide me with all the invoices that you did obtain on the purchase of the material that has been used in the construction of this building. Okay, there was labor that was incurred. Okay, where is the wage records? Okay, of course you must have kept some payroll document somewhere. Then provide me with the payroll document. Okay, you did incur some overhead. Okay, maybe in terms of buying, I don't know, maybe water for construction. Now provide me with the invoices that were incurred. Okay, for the expense that was incurred. Okay, so simply ask the manager to provide you with invoices for the different expenditure, for the different expense they incurred in the construction of that particular property. Okay, that's what I mean by verifying. Okay, so simply you're going to simply go back to cost accounting. Okay, how do you get the cost of, for example, of an asset? Okay. Then two, you can also, for example, okay, ensure expenditures have been analyzed, collected, and properly charged to the capital by inspecting a sample invoices and other legal documentation relating to the self-constructed assets. Okay. If there's some expenditure that essentially they ought not to have been capitalized, okay, when getting the total value of that asset, same thing applies here. Okay, I think I mentioned that already. Okay, then you may want to assess. Okay, that has been explained in point number 4. Okay. Review accounts to ensure finance costs have been capitalized. Okay, so this is the motto of the finance cost. Okay, if, for example, the company, okay, when it comes to financing the construction of these assets, okay, when it comes to the construction, when it comes to the construction, okay, of this particular property, okay, the company obtained the money through financing. Okay, the company obtained the money through financing. Okay, you have to be careful with the finance costs. Okay, you have to be careful with the finance costs. Okay, well, essentially, okay, under the finance costs, okay, essentially under the finance costs, we're only going to be using. Okay, we're only going to be using. Let me give an example so that I know you've done this already. Okay, but just to highlight for you, maybe a quick one. Which account standard do you use? Delphi. When it comes to the audit of the finance cost, okay, we are going to be making reference to an accounting standard. Which one is it? Delphine?
Pardon.
When it comes to the finance cost, there is an accounting standard that we shall make reference to. Yeah, because we want to audit, we want to assess whether the company finance cost, the company has capitalized the finance cost correctly. Which standard do you use?
I don't know.
Okay, Delphine. Quinta.
I don't know either.
You need to remember either. Okay. Don't forget, as I mentioned to you, don't forget, for you to do good accounting, even audits, okay, for you to do good audits, okay, you must know the accounting standards, okay, because how do you question the company, okay, accounts, okay, if you don't know the standards? You must know them, okay. Okay, this is going to be under IS 23, okay, which I think we did discuss, okay. Now, under IS 23, okay, under the IS 23, the finance cost, you can, this scenario where you ought to expense the finance cost, okay? So this is the finance cost. And there's scenario where we need to capitalize it, okay? If, for example, the company took the loan, okay, just some example, okay, the company took the loan on 1st of January, okay, 2020, okay, and they get charged maybe, let's say, 12,000 per year. Okay, this is the interest expense, okay, or the finance cost. If the construction of this building, okay, so the company took the loan before the construction did take place, okay, the construction did start on, for example, on 1st of May, okay, that's when the construction starts, okay, and it ends, for example, on, let's say, on maybe 5 months later, okay, so on 1st of, let's say, on November, that's when the construction will end, okay, and the year will come to an end on, let's say, that 1st of December 2020. Now, should we capitalize the entire 12,000, the total interest expense? No. Since the construction only lasts between, so here, let me call this the start of construction, there's the end of construction, okay? Since the construction did start from 1st of May and did end on 1st of November, then the only expense, on the only finance cost, the only interest you will be capitalizing is for that particular period, okay? Is from this particular period, okay? Which this case, therefore, this, okay, you're seeing that we do a straight allocation of the expense, okay? Therefore, the expense per month is 1,000, okay? So here is, you're going to have, be 4,000 here, okay? So here is 4,000, and here is 1,000 because it's 1 month. These are 4 months, okay? These are 4 months, and this is 1 month, okay? Therefore, when it comes to the finance cost, this 4,000 and this 1,000, they need to be in the P&L, okay? They ought to be in the P&L as an expense, okay? So the 4,000 ought to be appear in the P&L as an expense. They need to be expensed, okay? However, okay, for the expense that is from the 1st of May all the way to the 1st of November, in this case, the 10,000, okay, for the course of the 10 month, okay. Now this need to be capitalized, okay. When it comes to that asset, okay, assume there's a building, okay. Assume the total cost of material, labor was, let's say, 30,000. On top of that, we ought to add the 7,000, okay. Therefore, the total value of the building ought to be equal to, for example, that 7,000, but not 42,000, okay, because the 4,000, okay, this will be 5,000. So this is meant to be 5,000, okay. This is meant to be 5,000. So the 5,000 need to be in the P&L. 4,000 here, okay, and the others for this particular part, okay. So we don't need, you should not capitalize the entire 12,000, but only for that time period when the construction was ongoing. The interest expense beyond the period beyond the period of construction, the 5,000, okay, it ought to be expensed in the P&L. It is you as an auditor who is meant to do this, okay? So go through the company finance cost, okay? Try to assess whether the company has charged the correct finance cost there, okay? As well as the finance cost capitalized, okay, is the correct finance cost that was meant to be capitalized, okay? Look, this I think you did this. IS-23. I think you must have done that for sure. Okay. Okay. So okay, let me discuss this particular point on the disposal. Okay, on the finance cost. Okay. And also in point number 3 here, okay, review the cost to ensure that no profit element has been included in that particular value. When it comes to the total value of the asset, there is no way the company you can include a profit element here. This asset that you're constructing was not meant for the market, okay? It was for your own use. So there's no way you can charge your own sale. You can't charge a profit on yourself, okay? Therefore, there ought to be no profit element on it, okay? There ought to be no profit element on it. Well, this is your own asset you're constructing. So how can you make profit out of yourself, okay? Therefore, ensure as an auditor, there's no profit elements on the particular asset. So you're going to go through, you review all the costs, okay? Going through them, okay? Ensure that there's no profit element that appears on the total value on the first two, on the 10,000, okay? So on this, that's 10,000. Okay, seem to have hanged. I'm not sure what I should be doing. I should do here. Okay, so okay, what I mean here is that when it comes to here that 10,000, the total value of the asset, under the 30,000, there ought to be no profit element. Okay, there ought to be no profit element here. Okay, that's what that particular point is telling us. That there also be no profit element that do appear there. Okay. Okay, that's on that. If there were disposal, okay, hope it's clear. Okay, if there were disposal that occurred during the year, okay, if there were disposal that did occur during the year, what do? Okay, you know what asset management, okay, of course, to provide you with all the documents, okay, that they did have towards the disposal of the asset. For example, they can have a sale agreement. If it's a motor vehicle they have been using for the past 5 years, okay, and now they have done disposal, of course, they must have entered into a sale agreement, okay, whether through email, whatever it is, in whatever context, whatever format it is, okay, they ought to be okay, they ought to be they need to be that verification, okay, as to whether the company actually did make a transfer, okay. So there ought to be support documentation, okay, checking on whether actually the sale did occur, for example, okay. Definitely, if the sale is already complete, okay, the company need to have the cash. That one is for sure, okay. The sale was complete, okay, true. But has the company received the money? So ask them, provide me for your bank statement, okay. The contract was concluded on 1st of May, okay, true. Now we are already on the maybe on 1st of September, okay. Now, as per the bank statement you have, okay, is there any cash received from that disposal, okay? I think you have to be quite careful when it comes to the disposal. If the disposal was made to what we call parties that are related, okay, or related parties, okay, okay, maybe the sale was made to the CEO, okay, yes, an example was made the CEO, was made the finance director of the company, okay. Now, there you have to be quite careful. Was this disposal done in good faith, or this disposal, or is the company, or is the CEO trying to steal, okay, or trying to defraud from the company? Is that a possibility? It could be a possibility, okay, that the company is simply trying to defraud the company management, okay, or the board of the management, okay. They're trying to defraud the company, okay. So try to understand, okay, was this disposal done in good faith, okay, or is the disposal made to steal money from the company, okay. As I mentioned, to be careful when it comes to sale or the disposal, okay, being done by parties that are related, okay, or coordinated transactions. So we have to be quite careful there, okay. Then also consider if the proceeds from the disposal were reasonable. And I mentioned, be careful in case the disposal is made to the party that are related, because maybe the sale value, okay, or the amount received from the disposal was 10,000. However, in the market, the company could have fetched maybe 20,000, okay, from the disposal of that particular asset. Okay, so you have to quite check very well, okay, as to ensure that that's the proceeds made are reasonable, okay. How do you know whether they're reasonable? You can simply try to assess whether in the market, okay, for a similar asset, okay, what is the market willing to provide? Okay, if it's a motor vehicle, with this model, okay, with this mileage, okay, with this X amount of, okay, this useful life, okay, how much is the market willing to pay for it? Okay, simply go to the market, try to see, okay, try to go to log into some of the car website, okay, try to see, okay, with a similar motor vehicle, with this useful life, okay, with this model, okay, how much is the market willing to pay for it, okay. Simply trying to compare what is the market providing versus what the company actually received from that disposal, okay. Is the gain or disposal? You may want to calculate, okay, just to confirm, okay, whether the gain or disposal was the calculation was done correctly. Okay, if there are losses, have they been accounted in the right manner? Okay, and that's on the audit of the tangible non-current assets. Okay, audit on the tangible non-current assets. Okay, so the next bit, okay, we can discuss will be on the audit of intangible non-current assets. Okay, the goodwill, for example. Okay, during of the game, in case. So we have patents. Okay, we have research and development. Okay, so all those we shall discuss in our next class. That is tomorrow. Okay. If there's no question, then I think we can meet tomorrow then. If there's no question, that is. And fair enough, we meet tomorrow, okay? Use your time. We use the same link, okay? Then you can sign off the class list and we meet tomorrow then. See you tomorrow.